filming. Morning gateway shadows in the canyon below. I'm in my bag at the first sun and the camera's already on me. Or not on me, but using me as a point of reference. What do we bring to this place? Is there any offering, anything that we can add that is not already here?
A story about the Greater Canyonlands cannot be told without starting at the beginning. Of course, when the earth was formed and the creation of the geology and the plants and all that, but also the presence of humans. It has been an important cultural landscape to many peoples, going back to at least about 15,000 BC. The Greater Canyonlands is a part of my history and my family's history, my community's history, my tribe's history, and history of all the native peoples in this region. It's like a book for us, and when many tribes have a history and have a chapter in this book, it tells us a lot about why we are the way we are.
And I think this was a big transitional zone where you had people are moving back and forth. They've got villages down here and they've got hunting up here. And here you're up in this like fringe, archaeological fringe country where, you know, cliff dwellings are tucked up.
Hundreds of them.
Yeah.
There are many things that I think archaeologists and others see as a big mystery, but I feel it's kind of a sense of enlightenment, really. It isn't a mystery. I look at some things and I see that's why I am the way I am, because of these things that my ancestors left on the walls, that they left in places near springs and along the rivers. Those were left for me and future generations.
Since you got ruins all over this place, you know there were people hanging out here. You know in the middle of summer, they were coming and sitting right here. Cool air was blowing through this gap. You can see the San Juans.
I haven't seen that many in my life, but this one was amazing.
Yeah. So you can see the different layers where people had built in the 12th century and then where they added to it and they built in the 13th century. So this is just expansion. It's just building one building on top of the next over generations. These dry, intricate lands in southeast Utah are a storybook, a well of memories from long before modern boundaries of states, countries, and national parks. The potsherds that lie on the ground and the cliff dwellings tucked in the rock are part of an enduring cultural map. It would be easy to let a place like this go unprotected if you didn't know what this place is made of to begin with.
We are of this place. Our language sounds like the way a rock tumbles down a mesa. And our language sounds like the way a rock sounds when you drop it in mud.
These are the many temple-like fingers of White Canyon and their higher Red Butte vistas. Farther north are the long, lightning-like canyons entering the Green River, and in the east, the elaborate stone wall feeders of Indian Creek. A new national monument called Greater Canyonlands is proposed for this immense region, not just for its immensity, but for its intricacy, for the places where rainwater runs.
We visit those places because we see the Colorado River and the Grand Canyon and the rivers that come out of it like umbilical cords. And so we're connected back to the canyon from the Zuni River to the little Colorado River, back to the canyon by the river. There's still another artery, still another visceral part of the landscape that we used. So we follow the waterways back to these places. Going back into the canyons is going back into the mother.
So we're coming up the canyon here, and we got to a place where there's just too much water. It's too deep to get across, and you're looking for a way out as you're coming back, and you find this, which is pretty subtle, but this is a step. They're probably, 800, 1,000 years old, and they're just this ladder going up the side of the rock. So whenever you see these steps carved into the rock, this is a way. This goes somewhere. Plans have emerged in Greater Canyonlands for large-scale tar sands extraction, where there otherwise might be a new national monument. This kind of industry employs the world's largest mining machinery, eating through the landscape itself. What is this place worth in oil? Where do we want to steer our civilization? What do we want left when we're done?
All tribes in the region have a relationship to the place. We've been there and we're still here, and we're still part of shaping the future of the Colorado Plateau and the Greater Canyonlands area. But it's also part of the history of all the peoples of the United States and the world. It is part of the human experience. It belongs to all of us. I believe that tribal peoples of this region shouldn't be the only ones to take responsibility for protecting the cultural resources in the Greater Canyonlands area. That the archaeological sites, the trails, the petroglyphs and pictographs, all of those things, all the cultural resources are part of the human experience and belong to everyone. And I think everyone should take some responsibility for protecting them.